going on? It's Alex Light with SparkE3. You're having a phenomenal day today, whatever day you're watching this video. For today's video, I want to give my opinion on the MCU, do a tier list here because one, I love tier list, and two, I love Marvel. So it sounds like a perfect combination to me to throw my opinion out into the great void that is YouTube with the millions of other tier lists and millions of other tier lists on this same topic. Miss Marvel just came to a close. Thor Love Thunder came out a couple weeks ago, so this feels like a good time to probably do an updated tier list. We're, you know, a few weeks or a month or so out from She-Hulk. So, I mean, again, this feels like a pretty good time to kind of give an opinion on this. But if you could, first and foremost, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, be a friend, tell a friend. As well as go check out our website, SparkE3.com. You can sign up for free. Sign up for $5 a month. Where videos like this will always be available for early access over at the website. And shout out to our three sponsors, Rogue Energy. You can use their referral link down below and promo code SparkE3 to get 10% off your order. Get some starter kits and give it a shot. It's pretty solid. I highly recommend. As well as our newest sponsor, Swift Grips. Get the best grips in the game for your Xbox or PlayStation controllers. Promo code Gamesthetic for 10% off. And lastly, Red Dragon. If you're looking at a new mouse, keyboard, speakers, headphones, anything of the sort for your computer gaming setup, use the referral link down below. Use promo code Gamesthetic for 10% off and get some new equipment. We definitely appreciate that. As well as join the Discord. You know, we got some cool stuff coming up with the Discord channel with like a terrible football show going live. We're going to be taking callers from the Discord. So if you're a football fan, I definitely recommend joining the Discord. Link down in the description below. With all that said, all that knocked out, let's explain a little bit about what I'm going to be doing for this tier list. It's not just going to be a quick, short, and simple, hey, here's the list, here's the tiering, bye. Not going to be as simple as that. Number one, I'm only going to be doing stuff that Disney has directly produced. So basically from Iron Man to Thor Love and Thunder. And really the main reason for that is while some of the previous forms of media like Daredevil, the other Spider-Man films and stuff like that are now being kind of considered canon thanks to IRL purchases, as well as things that's happened in the movies and shows. I don't want to do those simply because I have a hot take. I have a controversial opinion on one particular film that I didn't really want to get like just overshadow the rest of this video, because the moment that I would tier it, I would have to fight to the death on like why it's there in full detail, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a little while now for a video, so I kind of don't want to have it overshadow everything else for this video and do it at a later time. And at least that's what I'm currently planning. We'll see if I end up getting to it. The second thing that's going to be a little bit different with how I'm doing this video is I'm actually going to tier it twice. I'm going to tier everything based on number one as if I was a critic, and I'm taking out my own personal preferences, interest, any biasness, anything of the sort, and where I believe they should be. And then I'm going to do another one that's going to be my own personal one. So you're going to see a lot of differences between the two lists. Let me swap over screen so you see what I'm talking about. Also, shout out this tier list that I'm using here, I did personally make. You can just look up MCU 2008-2022 to find it. Also follow me at Twitter. I'd appreciate that for sure. But you know, this sounds like a great idea in my head. You know, most people just tier things one time and just call it good, call it a video. So, you know, I'm a person that can very much separate my own personal feelings on things and give you know, what I feel like is a pretty accurate, unbiased opinion. So I figured I would use that ability that I can do and do it this way. It sounds like a good idea. Most people don't do this. So, I mean, if it's a great idea, let me know and I might do it again. And if it's a terrible idea, dislike the video and let me know. And I'll say to myself, okay, Alex, never do that again. People did not like that because it was confusing. While doing this, I will be tiering everything at the same time. So I'll be going, every time I go through a movie, I'm doing them on both lists. Critic opinion, well, critic opinion, my opinion. Left is critic, right is me. Boom, there we go. All right, cameras are hard, I guess. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and jump into things. We got a lot of stuff to tier. Kicking things off with the first Iron Man, the movie that started it all, the return of Robert Downey Jr. after, you know, some troubles, you know, in his personal life. This was his return to fame. I mean, it really was. This put him back on the map from where his career was at the time. It was kind of taking a chance on him sort of thing. You know, I feel like for the critic opinion for Iron Man and everything that it does right for a superhero film and for this MCU, I'm going to actually give this one the A tier ranking if I was a critic. I mean, I do think it's a very enjoyable film, and I think it needs its due, because it gave us the start. It laid the foundation for everything else to come. Now, my own personal opinion, I'm actually going to give this one like C or D, man. Like, I mean, it's a good film, yes. And I want to stress, like, I don't feel like anything in the MCU is bad. Like, so the F tier is there. The F tier is there more for you guys. Like, if you guys want to use my first off, I don't know if I'm putting it in C, but yeah, this is the F's more for you. I don't have. I'll go ahead and spoil this. I don't have an F tier. I don't think there's anything that's bad. I just think there are things that are less good. But for Iron Man, man, we'll put C. For my own personal, we'll put C. This is not a film that I go back to very often. I think it is a good film. I think it does a lot of things right, but I mean, it's just not one of my favorites. I mean, it's solid, but that's it. The Incredible Hulk. This is usually towards the bottom of a lot of people's tier list, honestly. And for like a critic review, like if I'm taking out my own personal opinion, I would say it's C tier, man. I think it's just a really solid film. I think Edward Norton did okay. I think Mark Ruffalo is a lot better Bruce Banner. As probably a lot of people feel. I know there's a cult following for Edward Norton, as there should be, because I don't think he's a bad Bruce. But I mean, I don't think this film. I mean, it was a great Hulk film. I'll say. I guess I will give it credit for that. So I kind of maybe want to bump it up a little bit higher. No, we'll put it in C. I mean, it's just a solid film. Solid film. For my own personal opinion, I'll put it in C as well. I'll put it right here with Iron Man. I mean, I enjoy the Hulk movie. That's one that if it pops on, I'll definitely watch it. I mean, it's got a lot of good stuff going about it. I love the fight at the end. The fight at the end is obviously super dope with Abomination, who recently came back. Shout out to that for sure. Iron Man 2. Okay, so this is where you're going to really start to see some differences between like my critic opinion and my personal opinion. So for critic opinion, I'm going to give it the same due that it needs to have, and that is like D tier. This movie's a mess, man. It is. It has a lot of different things going on with it. You know, it's a lot of people consider it potentially the worst of the Iron Man trilogy. It's either Iron Man 3 or 2. Iron Man 1 is heralded as a great movie. Critic opinion, I think it is fair to say that it has a lot of problems for a film, for sure. It's an enjoyable film still. Again, I don't think it's a terrible film that you just need to completely disregard, but it does have its problems. And for my own personal opinion, though, I'm actually gonna put it in B tier. I actually, while I fully acknowledge it has its bad its faults, I really like a lot of things about this film because of how much it's set up for the future. Between obviously the post credits being Thor, leading us to the next movie after that, as well as like the Captain America shield. There was there was some stuff with like the big map that hinted at like Namor and Black Panther and a few things. Even though Namor's still yet to be introduced, apparently he's coming in Black Panther Wakanda Forever because he's been teased a couple times now. He was teased in Endgame and he was teased in Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 just had a lot of setup for a lot of seeds being planted, a lot of little hints here and there. I will say the Peter Parker thing, that's stupid. I'm not a fan of that, but I guess that does count. But I mean, I personally I think it's a fun movie. I mean, I do. While it's a mess, yes, but it's a fun movie. So for my own personal, put it in the B. Thor. Thor is all right. I mean, I feel like it's a middle of the road C movie. I mean, it's okay. I will say Thor for me going in D. I don't really care for the first Thor. I'm not a fan. I mean, this is one that I do not rewatch pretty much ever. I probably should sometime soon to see if my opinion is still a firm like it's bottom of the barrel or towards bottom of the barrel for me. But I feel like taking out my own personal opinion on it, what personally interests me and draws me into a film, I feel like it is deserving a pretty good starter film for the God. I mean, it's solid. It's I think C is fair. The first Captain America, I think this is like a solid B. If I was taking my personal opinion, you know what? My own personal opinion would probably stay the same too. I mean, the critic review, personal review, I would say probably B. It's just a fun film, man. Definitely. The first Avengers. Okay, so a few years back, as a critic, I probably would have said this could be an S tier film, and it could still be S tier. I think for critic, man, I may have to put it in A at this point because like the bar has just been raised with multiple films that's come after it. So I feel like A tier is probably a good place to put it for a critic review. Man, I don't know. It could still go to S. It's A, yeah, it's S or A. S or A for critic. For my personal opinion, though, that shit's going to straight up to S tier. Because like that, that was something that 20, 30 years ago, who would have guessed that would have happened? Like that's such a huge moment, a huge defining moment in cinema history. So for me as just a personal reviewer, and plus I still love to rewatch this movie. I think it's a great movie. I think it's really fun. I think S is a good place to put it for man, you know what? Yeah, we're bumping up to S. I think even as a critic, I think you got to say this is a great film. Like now I will say I'm gonna try my best as I'm kind of putting these in the tiers. I'll try to order them as well, like like what's number one, two, three, etc. I'll try my best. So while it may be an S tier, maybe at like the back of the S tier. But all right, Iron Man 3. Okay, all right. Here we go. Here we go. This is another one like Iron Man 2. All right, critic review. Throwing that shit in D. All right, look, number one, what they did with the Mandarin was disgusting. Thankfully they fixed it. Well, tried to fix it. They did fix it with Shang-Chi, or Shang-Chi, but it's just like a little too late. I mean, you really botched it. Mandarin's one of Iron Man's most notable villains in the comics, and you did what you did with them. I mean, to the point where you even had to make that little extra short afterwards with the actor who played the fake Mandarin, like, oh, the real Mandarin, it's real. This movie's a mess, bro. Like, everyone knows that this movie is a complete and utter mess. It's towards the bottom of the MCU. But for me, I'm giving it an A, man. And while I fully agree it's a giant mess, okay, I get it. I understand. I think the few things they did really right is I love how well they did Tony's PTSD, and that's what gets me, and that's why I'm giving it the A. While the Mandarin thing kills me, yeah, like, oh, really, that's what we did. It is funny, like, and unfortunately, I'm a sucker to the stupid humor. Like, that's just who I am. But as a critic, I can fully acknowledge it's not a great film, but I mean, it's one that I personally enjoy. I mean, I enjoy watching. Iron Man 3 is my favorite Iron Man to watch. I'm sorry. I know it's not a great opinion, but at least I'm giving you, that's why I wanted to give you the critic opinion over here and my opinion over here. Thor the Dark World. We know where that's going. We know where that's going. That's going straight to D. It's going straight to D, and it's going to the bottom of the D. Now, I will say for me, it's still going to D, but I do actually I do actually prefer to watch Dark World over the first Thor. Yes, that is another one of my differing opinions here. Is I do actually prefer to watch Dark World. I mean, it's not a great film, but I mean, it's somewhat of enjoyable. I will say I don't rewatch either of the first Thors. Neither one of them I go back and hit up. Winter Soldier, man, we know where this is going. Everyone knows where this is going, bro. That's going straight to S on both. Winter Soldier is so good. That's one that I rewatch pretty often. Guardians of the Galaxy. As a critic, man, I would actually probably put this one in the S tier, dude. A few reasons. Like, I do genuinely believe it's a phenomenal film, and I feel like it was, what's so cool about it is Marvel took that chance. This is their first time taking a chance outside the cast that we currently know. And I feel like they absolutely knocked it out of the park. And my opinion will obviously stay the same over here. It will go to S tier. Avengers Age of Ultron. I mean, it's an Avengers film, so it's high action, a lot of different things going on. It's kind of messy in some capacities, but I think it's still an A movie, and I'd put it probably above Iron Man. I mean, it's still a great film. Definitely, I really enjoy to rewatch this, but I don't think it's like S tier or anything. And that's as a critic and as a personal opinion, put that above Iron Man 3. Ant-Man. As a critic, man, I would probably give it a B or C. B or C. One of the two. Not sure which. B. Yeah, I'd probably say B. I mean, again, this is another. They didn't knock this one out of the park as much as like Guardians of the Galaxy, introducing like this, this new hero to the bunch. This is their second time doing it now. That's not our originals. I still think it was a very good film. I think it was funny. It was like it was a crime. It was like a heist film, whatever is how they marketed it, and it was solid. They did a really good job. For me personally, I'd probably put it at a C above Iron Man. The first Iron Man. I enjoyed to rewatch it every once in a while. Civil War. Basically, Avengers 2.5. I'd put this one in A tier. I mean, I think this is a very good film. I'd probably put it above Avengers Age of Ultron. And my personal opinion is gonna probably be the same. Probably A tier above Avengers Age of Ultron. Doctor Strange. All right, so Alex a few years ago, for personal, would have put this one pretty low. After a couple of rewatches, I don't know why I didn't get into this film sooner. As a critic review, I would probably give this one like a solid B. I think it's a pretty solid film, and I'd probably put it above. I'd probably put it at the top of the B tier. I think it's a very solid film, great introductory film to Doctor Strange and everything that the film carries. For me personally, I'd give this one an A right after Avengers. I think it's a beautifully, beautifully done film, bro. I feel like it's got a lot of good things going about it. Like, I don't know why I didn't like this film for the longest time. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Great film. I don't feel like it lived up to what Volume 1 was as a critic. I'd probably give this one A tier. I think A tier. But for me personally, I would actually still give this one an S. I had some personal attachments to this film and with some of the plot lines that's in it, and that alone is enough for me to just be really, really like love this film for reasons that go beyond just being a critic. Spider-Man: Homecoming, first movie of that trilogy. There, as a critic, I would probably say it's probably an A tier film, bro. And I may put it. I'd probably put it after Avengers. Yeah, I probably would. And this film did a lot of good things of giving you that neighborhood Spider-Man feel, that high school Peter Parker feel. Plus, Michael Keaton as Vulture, man, was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed this film quite a bit. As a personal opinion, probably A tier as well, but probably the bottom of the A tier for my own personal take. Thor Ragnarok, S on both. I mean, we all know this. We know this was coming. As for where, I would probably put it right behind Captain America Winter Soldier on the critic review, and on my own personal review, probably before the Guardians of the Galaxies. I mean, it's an incredible film. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this too. We know Black Panther's going to S tier. Black Panther's an unbelievable movie. I'd probably put this one behind Captain America Winter Soldier. And for my own personal, I'd probably put Black Panther after where it is now, after the Guardians of the Galaxies. All right, Avengers Infinity War. I would probably put this one right here, firmly at the front. Boom, there we go. Firmly at the front. I don't want to spoil the rest of my opinion, but I definitely think Infinity War is very deserving of that number one spot. I think it's deserving of S tier. I think it's deserving of S tier in my own personal as well. I mean, it's an incredible film. I don't think anyone can deny that. A lot of people consider it the best MCU film that's ever been created, and I guess I'll go with I'll double down. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think as a critic, I think it is the greatest MCU film that has been created so far, for a few different reasons, and I give the main one that a lot of people kind of turn to is the fact that obviously this is a big fat L that everyone takes, and it's just like people could have guessed that was coming, but at the same time, you're as a viewer, you're still holding out that hope. Oh no, heroes have got this. They're gonna come out on top. No big deal. We got this. I feel like Infinity War, man, it had a lot of things done right, and I think it is the best MCU film. As a critic, Ant-Man and Wasp. I mean, it's okay. It's an entertaining movie. I think as a critic, I'd still put it in B. As a personal opinion, I'd probably put it in C, right? Probably after Iron Man for me personally. I mean, I put it both Ant-Mans right alongside each other with the first Ant-Man edging it out, but it's all right. Captain Marvel. As a critic, I'd probably say top of the C. As a personal, middle of C. I mean, it's just, it's an okay film. It's not bad. I mean, it felt kind of it felt really rushed, with how they wanted to. It's one of those films that you could tell they wanted to do sooner. You know what I mean? And they just weren't able to, and it kind of feels a little bit out of place because of that. Endgame, I'd put it firmly at S, obviously, and I put it right behind Infinity War. For me personally, I'd put it at the top of S. I think I like Endgame a lot more than Infinity War. I think they're both incredible S tier films. And I think they're both deserving of that for sure. All right, Far From Home. This is a messy movie, a very messy movie. As a critic, I got to throw it down probably bottom of B tier, top of C maybe. I mean, it is a messy film. Well, I don't know. Hang on. As a critic, let's put it top of C. It is a messy film, man. There's a lot of plot points that are kind of odd. There are certain aspects about it that doesn't make like a ton of sense for characters like Tony's character. There are aspects that don't make any sense. It's an okay film, and it's a very plot convenience of all these people that hate Tony all get together. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I will say that I feel like they knocked it out of the park with Mysterio's illusions. That was something I was kind of curious about going into it, and I feel like they knocked it out of the park for that. My own personal opinion, I would put this one at the bottom of B tier. While I acknowledge it has these problems, it is a fun watch because I really love how great Mysterio was in this movie. A villain portrayal alone is enough for me to kind of sway one way or the other. I mean, because Tom's portrayal is already really good, but I mean, I do acknowledge it's kind of a messy Spider-Man film. WandaVision was excellent, bro. I mean, it was so good. It was a great way to kick off the Disney Plus series. This is being the longest one, of course. I'd probably put this one as a critic. I'd definitely put this one up in A tier, probably at the front of A. I think it's very, very good. And as a personal opinion, I'd probably put it the up in A tier after Civil War. I mean, I just really like Civil War. It's a fun film for me. Falcon Winter Soldier, man, throw that shit up in S tier. That shit is awesome. Now, where does it fall in S tier? That's the question. I'd probably put it after right there where I put it. So number 4 at the moment. I think it's a good spot for it. And it's going up in S tier for me as well. Probably after Avengers. Yeah, I think that's a good spot after Avengers for me. So number 5 for my own personal. Loki, S tier as well. And I'd probably put that one 3. Yeah, I think 3 for my critic review there. I think it's the 3rd best piece of MCU content so far from what I've tiered. For me personally, still S tier, 100%. And I'd probably put it at number 4 for best MCU content so far. Black Widow, okay. As a critic, got to throw this one about middle of C tier. This is a movie that feels so out of place. I mean, like, it's a too little, too late thing, man. I mean, obviously with her already being, I get it. You want to give Scarlett Johansson and her character Natasha that they're due and give a movie they should have got sooner. They really deserved it sooner. But I mean, this one, it really does feel so out of place. And and my friend Josh, he recently just watched it because he watched all of the MCU in timeline order. And when he watched it before Civil War, he said, that was his first time watching it. He really enjoyed it, but he definitely felt the opinion that I gave, where it's like, yeah, if I would have watched it like right when it came out, I would have picked up what you're feeling. Where it's just like, it does feel horribly out of place. So as a critic, I got to give it a C because of that. But as a personal, I'll give it like up in the B tier. I mean, I enjoy the film. I mean, the Taskmaster thing, it's kind of a bummer how they handled some the aspects with Taskmaster. Yeah, but and that's why I can't give it a much higher at like an A tier. But I mean, I think it's a very fun film. I think everyone knocked it out of the park in their roles in this. But like, as a critic, I mean, you gotta throw that one down in the C tier personally. What if? What If is average as shit, man. I mean, some episodes are awesome, some aren't. I mean, What If is just very average across the board. I'll put it in C tier on both. I mean, I'll put it probably the bottom of my C tier. I mean, it's okay. I'm not gonna rewatch it. No time soon. Shang-Chi, dude, this was awesome. They did so well with the fighting in this film, as they should. It's a martial arts film, of course. I feel like the introduction of this character was so cool, and granted, a lot of people get upset with changes that MCU makes to characters, with the Mandarin and, just how they handle different aspects. I mean, that Miss Marvel's another example, Taskmaster, etc. Like, people get upset when characters get changed from comics and everything. But so far, every change that Marvel has done, I don't think has been bad. I think every change they've done has been acceptable or pretty solid, where it's like both can be good. One, just because the original content is this doesn't mean the new content that's created for to help with the flow and of what the MCU is, it doesn't mean it's bad. So I like this film a lot. As a critic, I'd probably give it about upper A tier. I think top of the A tier. I mean, it's a great film. For me personally, I'm throwing it up in probably S after Falcon Winter Soldier. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think this was a very, very fun watch. I enjoyed the fake Mandarin making a comeback. Abomination came back, of course, as well. That was cool. Eternals. Okay, so like I said, I just watched this recently. I hadn't watched it until this past weekend, gearing up for this tier list. I went into it thinking it was going to be the worst piece of content by far. Like, not even close, because of what everyone has told me. What everyone's told me, that you can just skip that film. You don't need that film. That film's stupid. It creates all these massive issues for other films, like the giant face in the ocean. Why wasn't it addressed in something else, like Spider-Man, for example? Like, I get it. As a critic, I mean, I'll fully acknowledge this film has a lot of problems. All right, a lot of problems. I'll put it in C tier as a critic, but man, for me, I would actually throw this one in the B tier, probably bottom of B. It was not like, I acknowledge this film is not and this film could even flirt with D. Like, this film is either a C or a D on the critic review. We'll lock it in at the bottom of C. But I it was a fun film. I enjoyed some of the characters. I enjoyed some of the aspects of the film, but I do acknowledge where it's like, okay, yeah, I see where I see why it's at the bottom of a lot of people's list. I get it. So I mean, I definitely think it's down there towards the bottom. I don't think it's as bad as these three. And I don't know if I would call it a D tier, man. I mean, it could be. It very well easily could be a D tier. Um, uh, we'll put it in D. We'll put it in D. I know a lot of people didn't like this film, and I do get why. It does create a lot of like, oh, really? That's an issue. That's an issue. But for me, I'm gonna put it in B. I mean, it was a fun watch. I was entertained for the entire 2 hours, and I feel like the 2 hour thing was a little bit of a killer for some people as well. But I do see the problems with it. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Here we go. This is an S tier film. Now, where does it fall in the S tier film? Probably like third, probably fourth, third, fourth, fifth, somewhere up there. uh, Fifth. I think fifth. If I was taking my own personal opinions out of it, I would say it's probably the fifth best piece of MCU content. Now, my personal opinion, number one. This is the number one piece of MCU content. I'm a massive Spider-Man fan, first and foremost. Above Marvel, I am a massive Spider-Man fan. And like my stance on why it's number one, and even as a critic, like I really want to take out my personal opinion, but there's a part of me that even wants to shove it up to number one. But I understand why and how Winter Soldier's so good, Loki's so good, Endgame, Infinity War, I could get it. But like Endgame, that big awesome team up and all that, the team up of Avengers and team up of Infinity War, etc. Like once like these building blocks have been placed from Iron Man up to where we are, it's like that's all expected. You're expecting that to happen at some point. This Guys, this was not potentially going to happen. Like the three generations of Spider-Man coming together, like you guys have to keep in mind, in case you didn't know this, they had a separate script ready to go for this in case this was not going to happen. They had a complete, I mean, Tom confirmed it. You don't believe me? This isn't rumors. Tom personally confirmed it, where there was a second script where Kraven the Hunter was the primary antagonist. It was a totally different film. And that was a lot of reports for a while on this movie was it was going to be a Kraven the Hunter film, hunting down Peter since his, for whatever the reason was. And then all the reports started coming out about Toby and Andrew because it was ultimately coming down. Can they get them on board? Can they get all the other actors on board? That's what it came down to. Like this potentially wasn't going to happen. This in theory shouldn't have happened. Based on various circumstances, right? Like this was like you didn't expect this to happen. You expected the big team up in Endgame. You expected the team up in Avengers once the building pieces got laid with the very big end of Iron Man's like we're starting the the Avengers initiative or whatever it is. Like you expect that to happen based on what Disney's doing with the plot. With Spider-Man No Way Home, like guys, like that potentially wasn't going to be a thing. So for me, like being number one, being a Spider-Man fan, growing up on Toby, loving Andrew Garfield as well, like man, like that to me, that is the best piece of MCU content. I can rewatch this film 100 times and not get bored. I absolutely love it. But I do see certain aspects about the plot where it's just like super, super just fan servicey because it is. It's a very fan service movie. Hey, I'm a fan. I'm being serviced. I get it. Like so that's why I'm gonna probably put it on the critical list at like number 5. Because I think the story elements of like Winter Soldier, Loki, Endgame, Infinity War, I do think they are more like a little bit more concrete. Endgame's kind of sketchy, but Endgame just has a lot of amazing things that makes it very challenging to not put it where it is. But to me, Spider-Man No Way Home is absolutely incredible. Hawkeye, I'd probably put this one as a critic firmly in middle of the A tier. Yeah, right there. Right after Age of Ultron. Hawkeye was really, really solid. For me, bottom of S tier. I loved Hawkeye. I thought Hawkeye was awesome. It had a lot of great. First off, I never thought I needed to see Jeremy Renner LARP until it happened. That's first and foremost. Just the exploring of the character trait of him being deaf and the way they handled it throughout this entire series, I thought was incredible as well. I thought Kate was awesome, throughout the entire series. I liked Echo, Kingpin making his return. A lot of things about this show that I personally really enjoyed. Moon Knight as well. That's as a critic, firm S tier. Now, where on the S tier? It's a great question. I'd probably say right after Spider-Man. I think Loki is still the best piece of Disney Plus content when it comes to Marvel so far. From Moon Knight, for me, I would actually probably put this one as the best Disney Plus series. But then again, I was also very excited for Moon Knight for, man, literally years. Like, I'm talking at least 6 or 7 years now. I've been waiting, like, oh man, I hope they do Moon Knight. I hope they do Moon Knight. Like, Moon Knight's such a cool ass character, and dude, I was so pleased with how well they did the series. All right, Multiverse of Madness. This is a little bit kind of a messy movie for a few different reasons. A lot of people were just kind of walked out of this like, well, that was a movie, and I get it. I think the first Doctor Strange is better. So I mean, where to go? Oh, I went to D. It's not a D tier. I think the first Doctor Strange is better. I would probably say it's maybe middle of the B tier. I think it's a good place to put Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I mean, I think it's a good film. I like certain aspects they did about it. It gives you a lot of fan service of the Illuminati and people getting their dream casting for Mr. Fantastic, of course. The very brutal scenes with Scarlet Witch. I mean, I think it's a pretty solid film. I may actually put Ant-Man above it, though. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it. I mean, I think Multiverse of Madness, I think it's solid. I think it's a fun watch. But I don't think it's anything like hype to the moon. Personal list as well. I'd probably just still put it in B tier. And I'd probably put it, they're about right there. Just based on based on MCU films that I would turn on and rewatch, that's probably where I would put it, is towards the end of the B tier. Miss Marvel, that just came to a close here recently. I don't know. I don't know if it was just me, man, but like Miss Marvel was good. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a fine piece of content, but I don't feel like it's anything to horribly write home about. I know a lot of people were very upset with the power changes. I don't think it's a big deal. Like, even the writers gave its blessing. I do see why people would be upset though. I mean, you're literally changing how her powers are. You're literally like, and I'm not gonna, since it just finished, I'm not gonna spoil like the last, one of the key plot points at the end of the last episode. But like, I can get why people are very upset from just character changes. As a critic, I want to say probably bottom of the B tier. I mean, I think it's still a good film. I think it's still not a good film. But I think it's a good series, and I think it's worth a watch for sure. But I think it's I think it's the least attractive of the Disney Plus series so far. And for me personally, I would probably still agree to that. I mean, I don't see myself probably ever rewatching this like the other Disney Plus shows. At least the ones that I threw in S tier, I could 100% see myself rewatching. This one for me personally, I'd probably put down into C tier. The probably the top is C though. I mean, I would rewatch Miss Marvel before I rewatched Ant-Man at this point. I mean, Miss Marvel had a lot of cool things about it. I liked how they handled a lot of graphics and stuff, like the chalkboard thing, like making the plan. I thought that was kind of neat consistently. I didn't mind the power change personally, but again, I do see why people would be pretty pissed off about it. And lastly, the latest piece of MCU content, Thor Love and Thunder. So as a critic, I would probably throw this one. I mean, it's not obviously worse than Thor or Thor the Dark World. I would say this one's like a firm, like probably C tier piece of content. I mean, it's a fun watch. You can go in, you can have a good time. You got to go in and understand that it's a rom com, before anything else. They should have done more stuff with gore, obviously, like him, like probably should have actually done some shots of him actually butchering some gods. That'd be pretty dope. There's definitely a lot of elements. There's just like, really, you could have done so much more. You could have done so much more at the film. For me personally, and it's perfect that I'm ending it with Thor Love and Thunder with this whole concept of the video of doing things twice, because I get to end it on a note where I'm very different on this. I would actually probably put this in A tier and probably like second to the top of A. Look, guys, I said it earlier. Just dumb humor. It works for me. It's just who I am as a person. This movie cracked me up beginning to end, and I understand that's one of the beefs. I get it, where it's like it's too much of that Marvel comedy. It's like literally like just overpowering of how much Marvel comedy it is. But like, That's enough for me to want to turn this movie back on multiple times. Just like turn on the background, just laugh as I'm working, laugh as I'm doing something. Like I really enjoyed Love and Thunder, but again, I do see all the problems with it. I see it and I acknowledge it. That's why for me in my personal list, it's going to A. It's just because like again, I like that dumb humor. That dumb humor killed me throughout the entire thing. And there's so many things wrong with this film. So many things. I get it, but it's just like it's gonna be a guilty pleasure for me. I mean, that's just how it is. But hey, that's my list, guys. Boom, there you go. And like I said, if you wanted to do this as well, where you strictly wanted to do just what Disney's done, you can look up MCU 2018 to 2008, sorry, to 2022. Follow me over at Twitter. Appreciate that follow for sure. But what's you guys' opinion on this? Number one, did you enjoy the two different tier lists? The personal take and the critic take. Is that a concept that you kind of like, or do you hate it? And is it too complicated? Because if it is, dislike the video and comment and let me know, and I'll never do this again. I like the idea, because I'm able to separate my opinions. But yeah, what's your opinions on this? Let me know in the comments below if you think I'm an idiot on any of these opinions. Is there? As you can see on my list, I just noticed this. I am very much a Marvel fanboy. I have a lot of S tier things. I just noticed that. A lot of S tier things on mine. Yeah, that one on mine. I'm a Marvel fanboy. All right, get over it. Get over it. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on this. All right, guys. With that said, that's gonna be the end of the video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, be a friend, tell a friend. Definitely appreciate that, and do everything that I said earlier as well. Sign up for the website. You can sign up for free or sign up $5 a month. Videos like this are always gonna be available for early access. Check out our sponsors like Rogue Energy, promo code SparkE3 10% off. Swift Grips, Gamesthetic for 10% off, and Red Dragon, Gamesthetic for 10% off as well. Join the Discord, especially if you're a football fan. Terrible Football Show coming back very soon with live shows where we'll be taking callers. Very excited for that. And I think that's it. Until next time, guys, if there's something you want me to tier, please link it below. Let me know. I'll be more happy to tier it. I love tiering things. I want to do more tier lists here on the channel for various topics. I wouldn't mind doing a tier list every week. I don't know if I'll do it. It really just depends on my motivation for that week. But anyway, with that said, guys, until next time, have a good one. See you.